Morning, Phoenix Business Exchange folks. Welcome to the East End edition on this fine, kind of damp September 25th day. And I'm going to start off with share a screen, and so you can see what is going on in the Phoenix world. If you want to come on in, if you're online, if you want to come on in, please do so. You should be seeing a screen that's loading up in a second. There we go. And the Phoenix website is pbex.ca. So come on in and check us out. So find some of the information here. The quote for the week, which we'll cover a little bit later as we close the doors for the day. Over 7,400 referrals amongst ourselves have been conducted. Member of the week is Mike Walowski. He does full stride coaching as well as We Care Focus. Want to find out more about Mike? Click his card or click the video about him. Also, easy to get into these meetings. So Monday morning we meet 8 to 9, except next Monday we're meeting in Bell's Corners at the High Five, and but normally 8 to 9 online, and then Wednesday, like we're doing now, click here if you want to come on into this meeting. Thursday morning, typically it's 8 to 9. Tomorrow we are meeting at River Lounge, so it's in person at 07:30 a.m. And next Tuesday, we have October 1st, and Penny Lee runs the After Hours group, and that is about accountability. And that's kind of a good thing because, if you're working with a team of people, you stay focused on target. East Trade Winds next Tuesday. That's a free event and 8 a.m. in the morning. And come on in, and we will share more business information. And it's a networking group out of BC, and that's the East Trade Winds is the Ontario chapter, and I'm the host. Tony's got a meditation session every Friday at 1:30. So if you're having a stress week, and this is a good place to kind of get that Zen feeling into your day. And if the Zen isn't coming to you that way, you can always get with Penny Lee, and she can help you do some Nia moving. So Nia classes. Moving is medicine, and that just it's good for the body. So just kind of recapping: River Lounge tomorrow, September 26th at 7:30 a.m. Bell's Corners on September 30th at 7:30 a.m. So you get to go out twice within 7 days. And then the October 9th is the in-person meeting at the East End at 7:30 at Biggs Bar and Grill. If you want to find out more about the members that are involved in these groups, click on the QR directory. And what makes the QR directory handy? So if you look over my shoulder, you'll see a QR code. Basically has all my contact details. A person can either take a photograph of that, and if you're a member, you have your own QR code. And what's really ideal about that, all that information comes up in one shot, and then the person can point and click, and then they either phone you, email you, or text you, whatever you like. And hey, you want to apply? Just hit the apply button right there. I'm going to hit the stop share because now we're going to go into a educational minute. And Madame Penny Lee Pivot, over to you. Yeah?
No. So today I thought I would talk about nonverbal communication because it's important to understand that nonverbal communication makes up 65 to 95% of our communication. Really, there are 8 nonverbal communication forms. So let me share them with you, and keep in mind when you're dealing with customers or clients or even family members and friends that sometimes your actions speak louder than words. So nonverbal information we send out through our body, voice, face, and appearance is called nonverbal behaviors. Nonverbal behaviors spring from our attitudes, our cultural upbringing, and our reactions to things we deem to be important to our well-being, either in a positive or a negative way. So here are 8 quick overviews of the nonverbal communication. So number 1, your face. The majority of the nonverbal communication will come from facial expressions. Some facial reactions are also used for punctuating words or phrases, such as raising your eyebrows to comment on how big something was really. Your hands, that's the second one. So your hands, movements that express some kind of thought or process of thinking are called gestures. Gestures are expressed primarily with your hand, however, can occur in the head, body, or the face. This may include nodding your head yes, a shoulder shrug implying that you don't know, or a wink of the eye suggesting game on. Number 3, your voice. Vocal communication, separate from the actual words you speak, is referred to as paralinguistics. When said in a strong tone of voice, listeners might interpret approval and enthusiasm. The same words said in a hesitant tone might convey lack of interest or confidence. And number 4, your body itself. Unlike facial expressions, the body language doesn't tell us what emotion you're feeling, but rather how well you're coping with the emotion that you are feeling. Things that we find frightening or distasteful, we tend to move away from. And heavy swallowing, licking your lips, touching your hair, or sprawling out on the couch can be signs of stress, interest, or feelings of superiority. Then there's number 5, your personal space, which is the amount of distance we need, and the amount of space we perceive as belonging to us is referred to as proxemics. Might just a slight moving in towards your partner, or if you're talking to a customer, may indicate closeness or more intimacy. 6, your eyes, looking, staring, blinking, also known as eye gaze, is an important nonverbal cue. An increase in the blink rate for no apparent reason sends a clear message that you are either not prepared, not connected, or experiencing a little anxiety. And number 7, your touch. Communication through touch is known as haptics. Touch can be used to communicate a range of information and feelings such as affection, familiarity, sympathy, desire. You know, if somebody's unhappy, maybe going in and just touching them on the shoulder to let them know that you're there. Touching, our body loves to be touched. And that's why we have different types of clothing, because we have the sensation of different materials. So touch is very important and is a great way to communicate. Number 8, your look, the choice of color, clothing, hairstyles, and other factors affecting how you look fall under the category of appearance. So just think, I know Tony, when he does his tunings on Friday, he tells us to wear a certain color, because colors also impact our communication. And so understanding that the subtle judgments you quickly make about someone based on his or her appearance is what we call a first impression. So the first impression you make is the most important and lasting. So keep all of these points in mind when you're doing business or even interacting with family and friends. So that's your education for today.
Hey, thank you so much. And folks, since we're live, LinkedIn Live here's the post. You're more than welcome to post your contact details or topics of interest that you want to share with the universe at large. And so since Wendy is on an early exit path for the day, we'll start off with Wendy. Do an intro. What BAMs? BAM is a business activity meeting. For those of you that don't know, what referrals have happened the last week, but also tell us what's going on. Wendy, over to you, and then Dave. Wendy, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Wendy Chung, real estate broker with Century 21 Synergy. Happy to say that Ottawa has been the host of the Century 21 Canada-wide conference this week. Today is the last day of the event, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. So I've had a lot of BAMs, not with this group, but with agents across this wonderful country that we live in. So I'm building relationships with them in order to help clients across the country to be able to be represented by a good agent. I wonder if any of you know that if you are buying brand new through the builder, that your agent, your realtor, can still be involved. The builder will co-broke or cooperate with your realtor so that you can still sit by them and represent them, help them through the process of buying brand new, which can be very daunting. There's a lot to know about it. And keep in mind that when you are sitting down with the sales representative at the builder's site, that everything is very one-sided. That representative represents the builder, so they're not necessarily working in your best interest, but they're pushing through contracts and information that serves them. So it is always good to bring your realtor with you so that you can get that added support and you can have other questions answered impartially. Again, Wendy Chung with the Ottawa House and Condo Group, Century 21 Synergy. I do not have any bands to report for this group, but Dave Beliveau and I are going to go for a ride in his Tesla. So as you know, Dave is a real car guy. I'm not fully convinced that fully electric car is going to be the way I'm going to go. And yesterday I put down a deposit and ordered a 2020 Cypress Green Highlander from Toyota. So it's a very nice vehicle. I'm going to wait for it to come in. I'm going to see if I like that. But Dave and I are going to have a band together in his Tesla. So I'll fill you in once that is complete. Thank you.
Wendy, thank you so much. Dave, over to you. And then Sam. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, everyone. It's Dave Belleville from Belleville's Quality Frozen Foods. I'm all about giving people the opportunity to eat better. And you get better quality, you pay a little bit more, but at least you're getting restaurant stuff that you don't have to pay the restaurant price to go get it. So I'd say in a nutshell, but every week I try to challenge myself. And last week, Tony came for an order and he caught me doing my first ever cheesecake.
That's great.
It turned out very well. I was quite surprised. I impressed my spouse, and it got me thinking. I got to try to expand my food. I would say dictionary of things to do. Right. So, being almost 65 years old to wait to do your first cheesecake, that's pretty incredible. So. The other thing I did this week was I tried to do Korean fried chicken at home. And I took a whole chicken and I dismantled it and I did the whole thing. It turned out perfect. That was great. It was like I had got a $10 chicken on sale at Walmart or something like that. So for doing it at home versus going to the restaurant is about 10 to 15 bucks versus paying 45 to 50 bucks for the same thing. So you do it at home, you appreciate it. It's a lot better. And I tell you, I'm full of food stories. So you want to tap into my brain, make your family a good meal. I'm the guy to contact. So that's it for me this week. Of course, you've heard that I booked a BAM with Wendy, and I'll be booking more BAMs to come as well. Thank you.
Hey, Wendy, just a tip for the day. When he says step on the accelerator, you will accelerate. Just FYI. Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, but don't let go of the steering wheel too long. Otherwise, everything goes kind of sideways for it. Sam, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Sam Sturz, connectedcars.ca. There's my contact information in the chat. As you all know, my main thing is dash cameras, just like this one here. Has a front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera. What's good about this model, is that it has excellent daytime and nighttime lenses. Identify the license plate of a vehicle that may cause an accident and cost you money and insurance to fix your vehicle. Also has parking mode, which comes on when the vehicle's in the parking lot and your car is off. So two main things about this model that I really like. Also do oil changes, brake jobs, things like that, minor repairs on vehicles. And well, yesterday I was working on Steve Brennickmeyer's vehicle. I did an oil change for him, and I met Frank. So I invited Frank to the meeting today, and he showed up, which is great. We'll know more about Frank, and things gone on as far as BAMs go. Well, Dave referred me to a friend of his who has a Tesla. You don't have to worry about a dash camera on a Tesla for the small fee of $70,000. Yeah, you can get one built in.
60 now, 60 now, 60.
Yeah, 60 plus tax. Anyway, besides that, let's see, Matt gave me a referral to a vehicle, and I want to talk about another vehicle. Well, I still have a few minutes. I worked on one last week. This is the lug nut from it, which actually came off with the stud. If you have these chrome capped lug nuts on your vehicle, get them removed as soon as possible. Cost this customer not only time, but $200 because I had to put new lug studs on the vehicle. I did some research. It's not just Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, Ford. Actually, some Hondas and some Toyotas have them on. So if you find out you have these chrome covered caps, get them off your vehicle and get solid lug nuts as soon as you can to avoid the cost of removing them the hard way. That's it for me. Sam Sturz, ConnectedCars.ca. Today's mobile electronics without the cost of a vehicle and lots more.
Sam, thank you so much. Penny Lee and then Frank. Penny Lee, over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Penny Lee Prevost, the Dancing Motivator, co-founder of the Graduate Thrivers Incorporated. This past weekend, I did a women's retreat with my partner, Elaine Cooper, called Wellness Warrior Value Vitality Retreat. It was in Morin Heights. We had a great group of women join us who are all like-minded, helping each other to navigate through our aging years as we are becoming empty nesters and so on, and really taking time to focus on ourselves, our well-being, and how to age gracefully. So it was lots of fun, and we are planning to do another one. We got great feedback on video this time, which was really awesome. And I am starting my series of classes coming up of the NIA classes next week through Township, and all my regular schedule will be posted on the calendar through Phoenix very soon. And as far as BAMs go, so I'm going to say I had a BAM with Ema because she was at the event, and we spent a lot of time together talking about business development and tips and ideas that I can use to market not only my retreat, but also the classes that I teach. Who else did I have a chat with? Well, Tony, you and I have been talking, and but no official meeting BAMs, but I plan on getting back to that in the coming week. I am now available more during the day. So I think that's it for me. Have a great week, everyone, and movement is medicine.
Penny Lee, thank you so much. Frank, welcome being a guest here today. Tell us about yourself, location, the nature of the business, and so forth. And feel free to put your contact details in the chat.
Well, thank you very much. My name is François Desormeaux. My business is in Orleans. I started my business in Kenville 4 years ago. And the business name is a little bit quirky. It's called Livestream Junkies. So I'm the senior junkie at my company, and we do live streaming events of all types, and of course, a lot of video production. And what type of live streaming events do we do? Well, we do conferences, we do podcasts, we do online training courses. If there's a video component, we've probably done it because we're up to close to 2,000 production now in the past 4 years. So that's a lot of work. I have a small team of television production people. Everybody who works for the company has got some sort of television production experience. My career started back in the early 80s at the CJOH TV, now CTV Ottawa. I spent about 15 years over there. And then I worked for a company out of Toronto where we did all live sporting events and galas across Canada. And what I do this week, well, we're working on all kinds of video projects. We say in the industry we shoot. We don't shoot people, but we film. So we filmed an ex-minister this week for a client who's recruiting volunteers to go do some reading seniors who go read for in classes across the Ottawa school boards. So there's so many varied products that we do with video production, and that's basically what we do. We do video production and live streaming of all types. And the company, again, I'll put my website in the chat there. So it's livestreamjunkies.com, and that's one of 4 companies that I own presently.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, and welcome being here, Tony. What are you up to behind your screen?
Yeah, no, things are good, Bernie. Thanks, and yeah, way to go there, Dave, making the cheesecake. I'm just so impressed that you were able to incorporate steak with your cake.
I don't know, I didn't see it.
Wow,
Not bad.
that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Um, Okay, and yeah, just as far as the businesses I've gone through, Susan McGarry, I just placed an order for her for some complete the vitamins that she has there. Gonna place an order for Patricia Ramirez. Sent a referral to Carl Richards, so he's got a new client now. I had a client and. They were looking at getting into the podcast world, so that they've signed up. So that was great. Yeah, Penny Lee and I are chatting on a business class that we're doing in about 5 weeks or so. So excited for that. Yeah, Dave, we ordered some nice some steaks and meat and so on, and so I thank you for that. And Dwight, we are going to be talking to him. He's our caterer in our Monday group. So I have a lady that wants to buy some Jamaican patties. So we'll as soon as he's getting into the stores, so we have a customer for him there. And as far as I go, I'm Tony Jennis. I'm the spirit guy of the group. I'm a medium and clairvoyant. I feel those things that usually from a perspective of business. I always like to incorporate all the things that we do because when we are in business, we are actually, that is one of the ways that all of us, we pay our mortgages and put our kids through school and everything else. So a lot of is riding on the decisions that we make, whether it is in business or personal. So if you have somebody that wants to get into a business venture, I mean, you look at the research, you go through all the things, and if the deal sounds good and it looks good, it's always good to add a perspective of what spirit thinks or what energy thinks about it. Keep in mind, we are in a very tumultuous time right now. The world is shifting very rapidly. There's a lot of other energies out there. What inevitably happens is people usually call me after they make the investment to see if it was a good idea. And it's just like saying I had an accident with my car. I hope I'm covered if I don't have insurance. So in other words, just make sure that you add this particular element because it could change it. Sometimes it could just be a caution. Yes, it's really good, but not the way it is. Something needs to be changed. And I don't even need to know the details. You just need to know that you want to get into a certain venture, and I can just feel it from there, okay? The other thing is I am teaching this weekend distance healing, and if anybody, I need 2 volunteers to be a practice client for these students. I need one at 4 o'clock and one at 5 o'clock. Basically, you just zoom in, just like we are today. You don't have to leave your home, and you just sit quietly for about 40 minutes. And that's it. And they will do the healing from there. If you know somebody that is available, have them call me. Okay, it's free. It's just it's a way for you to feel how distance healing works. Okay, Tony Jennis from Higher Self. We are here to raise your spirits.
Tony, thank you so much. And I just put my contact details in the chat, and I'm also the speaker, so it all kind of threads its way through.
Go figure.
So, Creative Insight is a business concierge. I connect businesses, try to find good matches. It's almost like dating, except there's no romance. Maybe there is, but that's not the goal. The other piece that I have is called the Knack for Business podcast, where I interview people about their business journey from point of origin up to golden nuggets they want to share. Also involved in the East Trade Winds, and there's a link in there for the YouTube for past presentations. Also involved with the Property Wizard podcast about commercial real estate and investing in that particular space. And without much more ado, I'm going to go over and share my screen. Excuse me. And just let me know if you are seeing the slide deck. Should be seeing it now. Sam's shaking his head. No, I'm smiling at Sam. You see it now? Perfect. Perfect. So it's all about podcasting. This particular call, this particular presentation, Epic Podcasting Adventures Mapping Your Journey to an Audio Stardom. So what does that all mean? If you have a story to tell, why not tell it? And the podcast is an avenue. In this case, I use it as part of as a leverage for what I do as a nature of business. So setting up hardware. If you have, I use Zoom primarily, and I record on Zoom, and it serves the purpose. I get the audio soundbite. I'm kind of playing into the video section. So Francois, I might be interested in having a follow-up chat with you later on. It's easy to use for guests, and I make it super easy. There's a lot of logistics that comes into play. And what happens is I provide enough structures so that a certain person says, well, what are we talking about? Where do I show up, etc. I book them on a Zoom link. There's a spreadsheet that has everything cataloged in behind what's going on, date, time, etc. And then I have release dates when I edit my own content, and then I push it out. There is a learning phase. So, and Tony can attest to that, and in fact, Penny Lee too. You start doing something, and as you get going, you get better, right? You're always adding, you're always improving what the process is. Social media accounts. So I'm primarily in the LinkedIn space, and so I push out my content. So I have a LinkedIn page for myself and for the podcast. And so I push out the content in there, and I have a couple other LinkedIn pages. I push out the content. So for me is to promote the person I've just had a chat with, and just move it out. The other thing I do is I secure a website URL. So in other words, if I decide to build a website for the podcast, it's in place. And that's really key, because even if you don't capitalize on it right away, you have that set up. And in fact, you set up your social media accounts. And again, if you're not doing TikTok, that's fine. You secure your identity in the TikTok space, so it's in reserve. So if you decide to expand on it, because as you grow and you go, hey, listen, I want to do a little video clip, now you can set things up. So a good mic, good headset. One of the really interesting things when I'm interviewing people, I say, hey, here's my cell phone. It's on vibrate. I'm going to do this as a safety check, but the idea is to encourage them to shut off all of their sound sources within their space. So what's next? Niche and objectives. So my niche, I'm focusing on the business entrepreneurs, either starting up, looking to go into business, looking to shift careers, etc. So that's who I target. So you have to identify a target. Let's say Sam about brakes. He's talking about people understanding, it could be about their cars. What's going on with the car? When do you change the brakes? When do you change the tires? When do you do this? When do you not get the chrome caps over your studs for your wheels, right? You don't. And here are the reasons why. But you can actually do subject matter material on an ongoing basis. Doesn't mean you have to spend an hour. I mean, you might have a 5-minute podcast. You might have a 20-minute podcast. I record for 60 minutes, and output can be anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. My role is to educate and share information and share knowledge, and at the same time promote somebody. Finding the content that will resonate. What does that mean? Well, if someone has a problem, or you discover you're looking at someone who has a problem, like Dave says, listen, the restaurant meat tastes so much better than the store-bought meat that you get at the grocery store. What's all behind that? Well, pay a bit more for the meat, but it's better than what you're getting at the grocery store, or a cheaper price than going to a restaurant. So you find the pain points for people. It's also having a story to go with it. So if you have a really good story, then people will follow and engage and go, hey, I like this, right? And they'll get a little bit of feedback there. Consistency. Once you start, don't stop. Does that mean you have to do one every day? No, you don't. But if you do one a month, that's fine. You know your audience. And if your audience wants more, then you feed them. Right now, I'm into season 3 for the Knack for Business podcast, and we are over 200 podcasts recorded in the can. And we're starting recording season 3. And so it's in the season 3, I'm changing up what I'm doing, how I post the content information. For me, I have subject matter experts coming in and talking about their space, about their job. So I've had everybody from like Tony. I've had people like Carl Richards, Eric Sinego. These are members in our group. I've had other people that are IP lawyers out of the U.S. So intellectual property lawyers. What's all behind that? And I've interviewed 3 of them. Each of them have a different piece of information to share, and you learn things. That's the other part I really enjoy about podcasting. When you're spending that time listening to the person talk, you prepare the questions. Later on, when you go to edit it, it threads its way through to what you know and understand. So it's good for self-improvement. Prepare for the interviews. Now, what I do is I send out, a person say, "Hi, give me a headshot, a logo, a title to work with, and some talking points." And sometimes the talking points, the person gives me 2 words back. I'm like, "Yeah, that's going to fill 40 minutes of chat." So I go to AI, I take their profile and I go and I write the script up in the AI, and there's kind of a formula. And you tell AI, what where it's coming from, what this is all about, who the person is, and what you're looking for, right? And there's some specific steps. And I get 20 questions coming up. And sometimes look at the questions going, yeah, I want to adjust it, you tweak it, right? Well, what I do then is I send them a script ahead of time. And for me, the script is not meant to be a lockjaw. In other words, if we don't do step 2 before 3, we can't go to 3. Well, no, it's meant to be flexible. It's a broad framework to work with. And rinse and repeat. That's the next piece. Now, once you start doing something, keep doing it. If you're consistent, the numbers will grow, the activity will grow, right? Set your schedule, and part of that is mapping out. Right now, I typically book 3 podcasts every Friday to record, and so for me, that's kind of the rhythm for myself, because for every podcast to record, I have to edit it. And then I have to, work on the content for social media and get some imagery to go with it, right? So there's a series of steps. Again, if you've been doing it for a while, it evolves, and it's like anything else. What you were doing at age 16, if you excuse the hormones in life, what you're doing at age 16 isn't the same thing at 26 or 36. You get better at what you're doing, right? Set your schedule, and just that way you map things out so it doesn't overwhelm and doesn't drown you. You don't get fire hosed, right? So effective promotion and marketing. Utilize platforms to promote your podcast. So like the hosting platform I use is Buzzsprout. So here's a tip for the day, Tony and Penny Lee. In Buzzsprout now, you can go in and say there's a segment where you can talk about your guest speaker and to help promote it. And in Buzzsprout, what happens, you're given X number of characters you can put into the show notes, right? But now you have a separate segment where you can identify the guest speaker, all right, and you put their profile in, right? That helps promote the content. And then in Buzzsprout, they also have a piece where you're going, listen, someone says, oh, how do I hear your podcast? Well, you can hear it on Apple, you can hear it on Spotify and Google. Well, now in Buzzsprout, they have a little piece where a follow button, all of a sudden it populates out and going, pick the one you want to listen to. So it's like one step less to do to get engagement, right? SEO optimization, that's always critical, both in the content, when you're posting in, you always want to consider what are the keywords. And part of that is, what are people seeking, right? So it makes it easier. If someone has a problem, I'm going to go swing back to Sam. My car's not stopping. That's a brake problem, right? Well, then, it's kind of obvious. I'll fix the brakes, but what's good maintenance care? right? When do you change out your summer tires or all season tires to winter tires? You know, they're tips and techniques, right? So you want to capitalize on that. Again, socialize, utilize the platforms to promote your podcast, social media, website, email, newsletters. Even in your email signature block, put in a piece in there. And if you have an icon in there, embed it. And then you go, hey, have it go right to the Buzzsprout where it says follow, right? That way people can work it. Your network, joint ventures. So in the podcast that I'm doing in the Knack for Business, I have a joint venture with Wayne Pratt. So we do, two of us show up on the podcast, and then we have a third party come in, and we have a conversation back and forth. It keeps it lively and light. Cross promotion, that's where your guest promotes as well as you promote, right? And so if you go on a podcast, again, leveraging that piece, that space. So covered the website and the signature block already. And yeah, what's next? Listener engagement and feedback. So encourage your listeners. So if you're using a chat GPT, there's a little section in there that says, hey, you want to be a LinkedIn, want to do specific LinkedIn promotions. It says, what's the viral? So you can craft up content, and then you can say, listen, here's my content, make it prettier. And now sometimes when I'll write in my headspace, and sometimes that doesn't translate well for other people because the context is not there. So the chat GPT acts like a filter. So it just kind of reascribes it so that it's readable to other people. And I always say, put it at a grade 6 level too. That way it's quick and easy and fast. If you have to work at it, think of reading a scientific paper. If you're not in the nature of that business, there are things that'll slow you right down and bogs you down. Encourage the listener interaction. So that's where I was coming from that point. Engaging with your audience. What's going on, right? So sometimes you'll get feedback. Right now, I'm getting people that are booking people for podcasts. So I met some new people, out of the blue, left field. Some of them, it's a one-time thing. There's a lawyer in Texas who does estate wills. He can't service Canada, but the content that he had or has is relevant to us as it is down in Texas. It just is he can only service the Texas or the state of Texas. So if you're down there, hey, I know a guy. Active engagement turns casual to loyal. So what you're doing is you're getting people, once they drink from the knowledge and they want to come back, you have something, they'll keep coming back. Repurpose content. This is really key. So you've had like a 45-minute chat with somebody or a 60-minute chat. You can take excerpts out of that later on and put it on Instagram. You can do quotes. You can do snippets, a little soundbite. I do audiograms, so to help promote the content, but same concept. So just repurpose. So what did we learn in the 1 year that, from year one? Be adaptable, disasters, and grace. So sometimes, best laid plans of mice and men, someone doesn't show up, it could be their computer blew apart, there's no power, whatever. Wayne and I are sitting there, let's do a podcast, quickly scramble and do a short burst communication, or it just doesn't happen, that's why you build a buffer, that's why we do 3 a week. Tell the guests how to promote it, using LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever medium they have their audience in, right? Get the guest to listen to the podcast. And so a lot of times people will say, oh, I'm coming on your podcast. So I listen to a couple of them. So they get a sense of feel of what's going on. Informational and entertaining. So if you're just going 2 + 2 = 4, yay, right? As opposed to, I've got 2 apples over here, and you go onto the story. You add a story, you add some entertainment to the piece, right? So you want to be engaging. Because you probably remember some people in the past growing up going, oh my gosh, I'm not learning the subject, and then you put a different player behind the scene who's passing information along, and they engage you, and next thing you know, I know this, I understand this. Key takeaways: just stay focused, stay consistent, and things improve, right? You learn nothing's ever 100%. Either yourself or the platform, etc. One day I recorded to the computer instead of Zoom in the cloud. And oh, that was a mistake because all it does is it records what I'm sharing. I screen share the notes and the person's head. Now I'm going, I got to take the person's head. And if I'm using an audiogram, stretch it out. And it's like, it just pixelates like hell. So yeah, lessons learned there. So some of the stuff that I do, headline analyzer, it's free. What you're looking for is a score of 40 and up. So you put some words in, put in a title, and it does an analysis on it. And the idea is to get an emotional reaction from the audience. So it just, you're looking for keywords. If you get, it goes up to 100. Mind you, I've gone past 100 on a couple of occasions, which kind of surprised me. But hey, I guess it was extremely emotive. My editing software is Descript, and I find it extremely handy. And so it stores the information. I can do it audio, I can do video, I go back and forth. If you're used to managing audio sound bites or video content, it's not bad. It's not like having there's a couple other tools that are out there that that do more in depth. I think it's DaVinci one of them that is out there. A little more knowledge base to run that. And podcast solutions made simple. That's our hey, I think I just did Carl a referral, so you can add that to the list, Tony. Um, uh, Podcast solutions made simple, and that's reach out to Carl. So let's say you do a lot of content and you want someone to do the processing and editing. There you go. You want to understand how to set yourself up. There you go. You have a couple of options in there. So those are a few things to share. And let's move forward. In the end, it's not about the microphone; it's about the message, right? And that's kind of the wrap of the chat. Hey, look, I didn't keep going into infinity and beyond. That's good. Stop share, and also just to add into the activities from the week, ongoing business with Shane and ongoing business with Marlon. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Dave.
How many people have viewed your podcast so far?
How many
Downloads. They're about 3,000, 3,300,
Okay.
right? And so some of it is what I was hoping for a larger number by now, kind of. But you know what? Again, that's a persistence. The my my ROI is sometimes partly based on that, but also when I introduce people, I'm going, "Hi, here's a person I spoke with," right? And and I'm introducing them to another business. You might want to have a chat, but here's their background, so it'll give you a sense about them, what's going on. So I use it as that leverage tool. In fact, a lot of the people that are my podcast guests on a knack for business sometimes end up being the speakers at East Trade Winds. So I thread it through, or sometimes they come here and as a guest speaker as a sub for me. Go ahead, Sam.
That software you mentioned that you use to enter information in that to your podcast, is that expensive? Can you give me an idea what it costs?
I pay monthly about it's in US dollars, but translation when I look at my credit card, it's about $45-50 a month. But there's no cap. I get a script. Some of the script, and I use an AI voice. I can embed that. I can embed certain content. It doesn't let me edit I can take care of the background. AI can green screen it so the person's talking, but if they're wearing, let's say I'm wearing a black top right now and I have a dark background, it'll have a hard time distinguishing it. It needs that kind of contrast. But I can move things around. I can put a logo inside the video. I can take my head, shift it over to the side a little bit, so I can expand some more space in there. So I can do some things. But then there's other software that's free, or you can buy a purchase and you can up the game. The one thing I like about the script though is they always continuously add to the product. So they have if I'm doing interviews with somebody where the internet's shaky, I can set them up so that it'll record at their computer and then upload into the cloud afterwards. which I'll have a cleaner copy because their machine, hopefully the machine's running okay. But that's kind of a case in point, right? So they're always adding the elements. I can build out templates. One of the ones that you see that's happening now is where you're taking little blurbs out of a podcast scene. You know, like you have two, three heads talking, and then you have the captions at the bottom. You know, you can add the captions. Just you slide it over, you pick the style you want, and off to the races. So they've added a lot since I've started, so which is good.
Thank you.
Oh,
How
you're
do you
welcome.
how do you promote some of your podcasts? I mean, once you get through the production and you got a finished product, what kind of ways do you get it out there so people know? Obviously,
So what I do is the person who I recorded the podcast with, I send them out an email and say, hi, here's a thumbnail, here's the audiogram I'm pushing out, here's where it is in Buzzsprout, here's the link, and then here's the title, etc. I'm releasing it on a given date, so they have an advance notice that it's about to go out, and then they can push it out. I push it out on LinkedIn. I put it on my LinkedIn page, the East Trade Winds page, the Knack for Business page, the Creative Insight LinkedIn page, and then I'll promote it inside East Trade Winds on a separate platform. So and I don't do it all in one day. The day of release, Knack for Business, and then I start moving it out to the other channels to help promote it and push it out. So, and then I look for different ways how I can either up the game, either the visuals, etc., or how I can cross promote the content with somebody else.
yep,
The some people are really good at, hey, I got this. I had one lady, she did valuations out in business valuations out in Alberta, and she took the raw files. So I give access to the raw files to people, raw Zoom files, and she handed it to a VA who cut out segments, little speaking points. Next thing you know, on LinkedIn, it was getting bang. You can see it getting pushed out, right? So I'm replying back. So
yeah,
when it rolls out, reply. When it rolls out, reply, right? So you need that type of interaction.
yep, 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 yeah. Okay, good, good.
Cool. And I'll end us with a quote for the day. The average men consume, the wise create. And that's Maxime Legacy. And there you go.
Okay, awesome. All right.